Yo, it's El. So today I want to talk about Little Big Planet. It's a series that admittedly I haven't played in a long time, but it's one I definitely used to love playing back in the day. Now, I only played Little Big Planet 1, 2, and 3, so for the scope of this video, I'm not really going to mention or talk about the other games in the series, like the karting game or the one-offs. The scope of this video is just going to be 1, 2, and 3. So, what is Little Big Planet? Basically, it's a platforming game where you solve puzzles. You do have to fight enemies, there are bosses, and at the end of each game, there is a main villain to defeat. Now, the focus is not on the narrative, but rather the gameplay. When it comes to gameplay, there's a lot to do. So as you play through the game, you unlock different things, whether it's costumes for your characters, accessories for the main HUD, or even materials and other things to build custom levels. If you want to get all of that, it can be, I'd say, pretty time consuming. It's not necessarily the most difficult game, but it is challenging if you want to 100% it. For example, if you want to get everything, you're going to have to beat every level without dying. In some levels, there are parts that require multiplayer. It's not to progress, it's just to unlock stuff. Now, truthfully, if you have multiple controllers, you can do some of these just by yourself, but some of the challenges will require a couch co-op setup to complete. So, just sticking to the mainline series, Little Big Planet came out October 2008, Little Big Planet 2 came out January 2011, and Little Big Planet 3 came out in November of 2014. This is gameplay from Little Big Planet 2. So this here is the main hub. If I move my controller around, it moves his head, which doesn't really do much. So customize character. So here we go. I'm just putting on just random stuff here. Just to give you a rough idea. Just some of the stuff you can do. I change the eyes, glasses, the hair, the head, mouth, mustache. You can get pretty in depth. You change your character's skin. And let's just say you accidentally get a sticker, right? Or you're playing multiplayer and your friends thinks it's funny to just change the color of your character. Well, just go back to customize. You can wash the costume. You can save, randomize. Let's go with randomize. So let's just say, hey, you know what? This guy looks pretty cool. Your friend comes along, throws that on your character. Or maybe you like it. Just reset it. Dress up like Daredevil. So this is sort of what the world map is. If this was a Mario game, this would act as like the world, and then you would pick like the sub levels. You can make your own levels as well. So this is one of the beginning levels. I don't want to show anything from too far. So as you can see, here it is. Here he is at the front. There's sort of like 3 tracks. There's a middle, the back, the front. It doesn't really affect much, but sometimes in this game, if you want to go behind something, that's how you would do it. For example, now I'm behind there. You can seamlessly just jump between them. See that balloon? If this was my first time playing the level, it would have an item in it that I would unlock. You can interact with the environment. There it says R1, so I know, okay, if I press and hold R1, I can move it. And then these, just your score bubbles. So say you want to pull that down, you hold R1 to hold on to things. Now, it depends on the material, you can't necessarily hold on to everything. See, activated a checkpoint. Basically, you make your way to the end of the level. Like, this is pretty fun. When you get to do, like, ramp stuff like this. Whoa. So something like this, you jump, you hold that. That's how you get across. So obviously, this being a beginning level, it's not that hard to figure out what you gotta do. But just to give you an idea of what this game looks like in action. Sometimes when you play, you might encounter some special items that might help you out. Or fun things you can use to create levels in multiplayer. Now I got a grappling hook. I just want to talk about some fond memories I had of this game series. The first, this one always comes to mind, it's related to the Final Fantasy VII character pack. For some reason, they didn't release it right away in North America. I could be wrong on the details. I think Japan got it first. I had a friend who had various like PSN accounts. One of them was a Japanese one. He had a European one. And I think he had an Australian or a South American one too. And he would just, if he logged into his account, he could access them. And it was cool to just see them because we couldn't get them. And I was a bit annoyed. Eventually they released it, so we got it. Another memory too would just be this level that my friend made. So it's basically floor is lava, you don't want to touch the ground, and there's like a certain platform you have to touch to clear a level. So he would just not even look, he would just randomly put it somewhere, and then you start off in what's essentially a rocket powered blimp. So you would just grab random parts, random rockets would go off, and it was a multiplayer level. So basically, whoever just hung in there and found a platform would win. Otherwise, your character would go flying out and you'd get hit by like some rockets, whatever flying obstacles he had, or you touch the ground, your character dies. It was a lot of fun. We also played some levels that were just like a skateboard or something with wheels would go down this huge ramp and you try to hold on and then it goes off this massive jump and sometimes it would spin or stuff would be shooting at you. Basically, it just comes down to playing it with friends. That's what most of my memories of this game, like my fond memories at least, are of just playing it with my friends. My one friend, he helped me 100% the game. I just remember like just sitting there in my old basement. Sometimes, because to 100% the game, you had to beat every level without dying. And there were some levels where I just couldn't do it. And he did some of them for me. I remember helping him do it, because in some levels you need to do like 2 to 4 players. And sometimes, for some of them, if you just had like 2 or 3 people, you can get away with like being one person short. If you just had the controllers and, you know, you move the right characters at the right time. But yeah, just the multiplayer, especially, I believe it was some sort of, I forgot the name of the show. It was like basketball, but there's trampolines, and there would be online levels for this game where it's just like basketball, but yeah, there's like a trampoline and you have a rocket or something. It's just a multiplayer. Like, the most fun you're going to have from this game is a multiplayer. And it's my favorite kind of multiplayer, couch co-op. I don't like the whole everybody needs their own console, their own copy of the game. You have to subscribe to whatever console you have, the online provider. Nah, couch co-op is where it's at. Little Big Planet is a series that I suggest to anybody. Now, 1 and 2 are on the PlayStation 3. Little Big Planet 3 is on a PlayStation 4. It might be a bit easier to get, obviously, the most recent one. And I really wish that Sony would release even 1 and 2 on PlayStation 5, like just as a bundle or something. And 1, it's not a bad game, But obviously with 2 and 3, they refined the gameplay, the features a bit more. So it's not that it's outdated, but if you're going to start with 1, I'd suggest either 2 or 3. They're great multiplayer games. I think that Little Big Planet might be one of Sony's most underappreciated or underrated multiplayer games. The one thing too I do have to say is I think this game is a great example of how I think gaming companies should tackle microtransactions. They're just a few dollars and they're just cosmetics. They're just different costume pieces to create characters and some materials for the level customizer. So nothing game breaking or game changing is behind any type of monetary paywall in this game. And honestly, that's how I like my microtransactions. I ended up buying every character pack for this game. It's just because I loved playing the game so much and I loved having as many options as possible for customization. And from what I remember, I think it was like $3 to $5 for a pack. So, you know, there's not hundreds or thousands of these. I think there's probably like a dozen or so off the top of my head. Could be wrong, but it's not really that expensive. They're great games. If if you have roommates, this was a great multiplayer game. If you have a bunch of siblings, even if you have kids, like, I know the aesthetics of this game, it does look a bit childish, but the gameplay is solid. It's a lot of fun. It's not the best game in terms of the narrative, and it's a platforming game. Some people don't like that, but everyone I know who's played this game has enjoyed it. And I know for my friends, when it comes to multiplayer, this is a game that, as a group, it's definitely up there for the hours we spent playing it. It's a fun game. If you haven't played it, check it out. And if you have played it, let me know in the comments. I'd love to talk more about this game with people. And yeah, till the next video, like, comment, subscribe, and take care of yourselves.